I answered my wife's phone, and a man's voice casually asked her if they were still on for lunch. The only problem? The caller ID said it was her female coworker. That single moment, one ring, one lie, one man, killed my entire marriage in under 60 seconds. And what happened after? Well, everyone keeps telling me I overreacted. But if you were in my shoes, you'd have done the exact same thing. Yesterday morning, my life cracked open in the quietest way possible. My wife had left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered. Nothing unusual. She always played music while she got ready for work. I was making coffee, scrolling through emails, completely minding my own business. Then her phone buzzed. A call. The caller ID lit up with a name I recognized. Her coworker, a woman she'd mentioned a handful of times. Nothing suspicious. Nothing weird. Just someone from her office. I didn't think twice. I answered. Hello. A man's voice, deep, casual, familiar in the way only routine relationships become, said. Hey, are we still on for lunch today? Or do you want to push to tomorrow? I swear time froze. I didn't say anything at first because my brain couldn't process what I had just heard. My eyes dropped to the screen again. The name, a woman's name, was still right there. I finally managed. Who is this? There was a pause. A nervous pause. Then, is this Linda's phone? Yes, I said. I'm her husband. Another silence. Longer. Heavy. Then, sorry. Wrong number. Click. He hung up. And there I stood, holding her phone like it was radioactive. My heart wasn't pounding. It wasn't racing. It just dropped. Like all the air got sucked out of my lungs at once. I stared at the fake contact name. At the deceit, so casual, she didn't even bother hiding it well. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate. When she finally walked into the kitchen, wrapped in a towel, still damp from the shower, I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just asked, who's the guy calling you using your coworker's name? She froze. Literally froze. Her face went pale so fast it was like watching a light switch flick off. What did he say? She asked. Not who. Not what guy. But what did he say? That was my first confirmation. I told her word for word what happened, and immediately she snapped. Why were you answering my phone? That's my private property. Not, it's a misunderstanding. Not, that wasn't him. Not, you're mistaken. No. She attacked. Defensiveness. The kind that only appears when someone's been caught mid-lie. I asked her why a man's voice would be calling her under a woman's name. She said she only did that because she knew how I'd react if she saved a male coworker in her phone. So you lied? I said. It's not lying, she shot back. It's just easier. Easier. That word hit me harder than the phone call. I asked her how long they'd been having lunch together. She shrugged like it was nothing. A few months. Since June, maybe. My stomach turned. Then I asked why she never mentioned him. Her answer? Because of how you're acting now. I told her straight. This isn't jealousy. This is deception. She started crying. Big emotional tears. Saying she wasn't cheating, nothing physical happened. I was blowing things out of proportion. I asked to see her phone. Not because I wanted to control her, but because trust isn't blind obedience. Trust is transparency when transparency is needed. She refused. Absolutely not, she said. You don't get to go through my private messages. And right there, I knew. People who have nothing to hide don't protect their phones like a dragon guarding treasure. I told her, if it's innocent, show me. She said, it's the principle. I said, no, it's guilt. For an entire hour, we went back and forth. Her crying, me trying to stay calm, her insisting nothing happened, me asking why she was lying if everything was so innocent. And then she said something that sealed our fate. Fine, she snapped. Maybe we should open our marriage. You clearly don't trust me, and monogamy feels restrictive anyway. Maybe we'd both be happier with more freedom. My heart didn't break. It calcified. You want an open marriage so you can sleep with him guilt-free, I said. She shook her head, crying harder. No, I'm just saying. I've thought about it. I have feelings for him, but I haven't acted on them. There it was. The truth. Raw, shameless, impossible to walk back. I told her to get out. She called me controlling, insecure. Said this reaction is exactly why she never told me. That at least she was being honest now. Honest? This wasn't honesty. This was confession after getting cornered. I packed a bag and left for my brother's house. Not because I was running away, but because staying would have destroyed whatever sanity I had left. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I filed for divorce 3 days later. Filing for divorce should have felt like ripping off a Band-Aid. Quick, clean, final. But it wasn't. It was slow, heavy, like dragging the weight of my own shattered reality behind me. And the worst part? I didn't even know how deep the lies went yet. Because the moment word got out, the moment that paperwork hit her desk at work, everything exploded. That same afternoon, my phone started vibrating like it was trying to escape my pocket. Her name flooded the screen, over and over. Then her sister, then her mother, then mutual friends. Everyone suddenly had an opinion on my marriage. Her mother's voicemail was the first one that broke me. She said, in this judgmental, disappointed tone, "I raised my daughter better than this, but I didn't raise you to throw away a marriage because of one little mistake." One little mistake. Like she forgot lunch dates with men saved under fake names weren't oopsie moments. Another message came from her sister. She never cheated. Emotional cheating isn't real. Stop being dramatic. Not real? Tell that to the tears I swallowed for 3 nights straight. Still, none of those messages hit me as hard as the one that came next. A voicemail from my wife. Her voice sounded like someone who'd been crying for hours. She tried so hard to sound calm, but every word cracked. "Please, we can fix this. I swear nothing happened. I didn't want to lose you. I panicked. Please come home. Please." A part of me wanted to respond, to say something, anything, but I didn't. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't trust myself to speak without breaking. 3 days later, I found out something that cemented my decision forever. Apparently, right after she got served at work, in front of her coworkers, including him, she had a meltdown in the break room. And I mean meltdown. Slamming her bag on the table, crying, shouting. People said they'd never seen her that unhinged. But the worst part? The guy, the one she'd been hiding, didn't comfort her, didn't stand up for her, didn't say a word. He just sat there at another table, staring at his coffee, pretending she didn't even exist. Coward. Later that day, I got a text from one of her coworkers, a woman I barely knew but who'd always been kind to me during office events. She wrote, "You did the right thing. I'm so sorry she put you through this. You didn't hear this from me, but there's been flirting. A lot of it. Everyone knew. Everyone but me. I wasn't angry. I was numb. Like someone had unplugged all my emotions at once." The next evening, she showed up at my brother's house. Uninvited. My brother opened the door, saw her, and stared at me like, "Do you want me to handle this?" I shook my head. I needed to hear her out. Not for reconciliation, but for closure. She stepped inside, eyes red, mascara smudged. She looked smaller, dimmer, like all the lies she'd been juggling finally fell and crushed her all at once. She spoke quietly at first, voice trembling. "I didn't cheat," she repeated. "I swear I didn't." I didn't respond. I just waited. Her breathing got shallow. Her eyes flickered away from mine. Then she finally whispered, "But I wanted to." That sentence carved itself into me like a knife. Because physical cheating? You can catch it, prove it, leave it in the past. But wanting to cheat? That means your marriage was already over long before the act. She kept talking, words tumbling out like a confession she had rehearsed in her car. "He listens to me. He compliments me. He makes me feel exciting. I thought maybe I could have both. You and him. Stability and fun." I felt the room tilt. That's what I was. Stability? A reliable appliance she kept around while she shopped for upgrades? That's when something inside me solidified. Not heartbreak. Not rage. Something colder. A clarity I hadn't felt in months. I stood up, looked her in the eyes, and said, "I'm done." She begged. She literally dropped to her knees, sobbing into her hands, apologizing, promising, swearing. But you can't resurrect trust. You can't force love back into someone who crushed it with their own choices. You can't unhear the words, "I wanted to cheat." I told her to leave. She did, eventually, but not before turning back at the door and saying, "You're throwing away your soulmate." I shook my head. My soulmate wouldn't have saved another man under a fake name. The door closed behind her, and for the first time in days, I could breathe. Court wasn't supposed to be personal, but divorce court? Every word feels like a blade. The morning of the hearing, she arrived first. I saw her through the glass doors. Hair perfect, makeup flawless, outfit spotless. But her eyes? Destroyed. She looked at me like she expected I'd smile at her. Like we were partners walking into some annoying, bureaucratic procedure together. I walked right past her without a word. The The hearing room was cold, quiet, sterile, until she started talking. Her lawyer painted her as a misunderstood wife who made one poor communication decision. He said phrases like, "No physical infidelity, a marriage worth saving, her husband acting irrationally." Then my lawyer stood up, this 5 feet 3 inches woman with the fire of a dragon, and she annihilated that story. She presented screenshots, phone logs, statements from coworkers, even a timeline that showed months of emotional intimacy behind my back. The judge just nodded, taking it all in. But the moment that changed everything? When the judge looked directly at my wife and asked, "Why did you save the man's number under a woman's name?" My wife inhaled sharply, like she hadn't expected the question. "Hey, he didn't want issues at work. I was just helping him." The judge raised an eyebrow. "So the man was protecting himself from consequences by using you?" Her silence said everything. The judge leaned back and said, very calmly, "Deception is still deception, even without physical contact." My wife's jaw trembled. Mine didn't. Because for the first time, someone other than me was acknowledging reality. We walked out with a clean split. No alimony. No reconciliation orders. Freedom. She cried the entire elevator ride down. I didn't. Later that week, I got a message on Facebook from an account I didn't recognize. It was him, the guy she'd been hiding. His message? "I didn't know she was married. I found out when she got served. Please don't involve me further." He didn't apologize. He didn't take accountability. He tried to erase himself from the story like a stain. But the real twist? 2 days later, I heard through a co-worker of hers that he'd requested a transfer to another department and stopped talking to her entirely. He cut her off the moment things got messy. She blew up her marriage for a man who wouldn't even sit next to her in the break room afterward. That hurt her more than anything I could have said. Remember how her mom called me dramatic? Remember how her sister said emotional cheating wasn't real? Yeah, funny how people change their tune once the truth spreads. Because after court, after the details came out, after co-workers started talking, her family realized this wasn't oopsie lunch. Her mom called me again, this time crying. "Why didn't she tell us the truth? You didn't deserve any of this. I'm so sorry." Then her sister texted, "You were right. I defended her because she lied to us too. I hope you find someone who treats you better." Her father, the quiet one, sent me the shortest message of all. "Proud of you for walking away. Thank you for loving her while you did." You know what that told me? She didn't just betray me. She betrayed everyone who believed in her. The first month alone was rough. Silence hits different when you're used to living with someone. But I made a rule. No dating. No rebounds. No chaos. Just rebuilding. I hit the gym every morning at 6 a.m. I reconnected with friends I had drifted from. I finally took that photography class I always wanted to try. I started cooking real meals instead of quick snacks. And slowly, the weight on my chest loosened. Then one night, my brother told me, "You look like yourself again." And that's when I knew I was healing. Not moving on, but rebuilding. 2 months after the divorce finalized, my ex sent me a long, desperate text. Not angry, not blaming, begging. She wrote, "I made a horrible mistake. He doesn't want me. I lost everything. I miss you. I miss our life. Please can we talk? Even just as friends." I read the entire message. Then I did something I never thought I'd be strong enough to do. I didn't reply, not out of cruelty, but because peace is too expensive to gamble with twice. It happened unexpectedly. I was at the grocery store, in the produce aisle, picking out apples. I heard someone behind me sniffle. I turned. It was her. She looked faded, like someone who'd lived through a storm they caused and hadn't found sunlight since. Her voice barely made it out. "You look happy." "I am," I said. She swallowed hard. "Do you hate me?" I shook my head. "No, hating you would mean you still have power over me." She started crying, quietly, trying to wipe the tears away before anyone noticed. "I wish I could undo everything," she whispered. I nodded politely. Then I said the last words I will ever say to her. "You didn't lose me because you liked someone else. You lost me because when you had the choice to respect me, you didn't." I walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't second-guess it. Didn't feel guilty. Because that was the day I realized. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. If you made it to the end of this story, let me ask you something. What would you have done if you answered that phone? Would you walk away like I did? Or would you try to forgive someone who already replaced you in their heart? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you believe that self-respect is stronger than heartbreak, make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe if you want more stories where the truth comes out, karma catches up, and the ending is always earned. Thanks for watching. And remember, your peace is worth protecting. Always.